Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Stickers and Scuffs podcast. Ken K here with Graydon Bunn and our special guest this week. It is GP3R week, so we had to bring in the man himself, Dominic Fugère, joining us. Dominic, this has got to be a very exciting week for you guys. It is race week. We are pumped. This is our first time ever going to GP3R. So, how does it feel on your side getting ready to have this festival take place?
Well, I had a realization this year is that you're never quite ready for these things. People ask, "Are you ready?" No, we're not. But we're at the point where, ready or not, we're going to have a race. The readier we are, the less foolish we'll look. So that's basically the goal. Not look like fools and idiots, and try, to put together a half decent event, and that's where we're at. But honestly, with the team we have, the employees, the more than 1,000 volunteers, the whole city is getting behind us. So it really is. It's a work of passion, and it really is inspiring to be working for this race. This has been a part of my life, my whole life. I'm younger than the race. I'm 49, and the race been on for more than 52 years, and it's part of the fabric here in Three Rivers. And I left. I lived in the States for a little bit of time. I lived in Montreal. I lived in Quebec City, and I got back to Three Rivers working after being living in Ottawa. I got back and started working here, and it really is, it's the crown jewel of the events here, and that's, we like to think that we're also the crown jewel of the NASCAR Pinty series. And we were with many other series before, we will be with many others, but right now we're having a whole lot of fun working with the Pinty series, especially with the kind of year that the Pinty series is having.
It is one of the most exciting seasons that we have had. And really, I mean, we can say the 2019 season was great. Last year was great, but the amount of competition this year is definitely up there. And Dominic, one thing that we got to talk about is, first off, the festival itself. I'd love to know kind of the history behind it, because Graydon and I, obviously, like we said, this is our first time going, but I have wanted to go to this race ever since I saw it on TV for the very first time. It is such a beautiful facility, such a cool track layout. So I'm just curious about the history of GP3R.
Well, it was honestly just five guys that decided to pop into the mayor's office in 1966, I want to say, right before 67, and said, let's put together a car race in the city streets. Do like they do in Monaco, like they do in Poe. Obviously, there weren't that many street races in the States. Long Beach wasn't on. Long Beach came about 8 years after us. Watkins Glen was now a permanent track. It had been for the longest time. So it was basically put a car race in the city downtown. We decided to use the exhibition park a little bit like Toronto, and well, Toronto's decided to do a little bit like we did, but that's that's a whole other story. But well, you have to remember that at the beginning, the Molson Indy was put together by Molstar, which was a company based out of Montreal. So I guess they took over.
True.
But we the guys just decided that, then, as crazy as it may seem, Leon Cadieux, who was one of the five gentlemen, was the general manager here and president in 1973, the year I was born. And believe it or not, Leon still works with us. He helps us out
Nice.
with accounting, and he also he takes care of our 50-50 draw. So if you buy a ticket in the 50-50, Leon had something to do with that, and he had something to do with the completely first edition. Our chief scrutineer, Fernand Vezina, he ran in 1967 with a Mini Cooper. So I mean, it's like I said, it's a thing of passion. It's part of the fabric of the city, and we had to evolve. We had to get better. We had to be with our times. I have a picture of the first start in 1967. The only things that was blocking the streets were two hay bales in the middle of the streets. So if you wanted to make a left, and there were houses and door stoops that cars would, the door stoops acted as curbs basically. Right now, our track is a bona fide FIA level 3, grade 3 track that we can hold anything, any GT class on. We can go all the way up to Formula 3. We had a deal with Formula Regional before the pandemic. pandemic, wanted to bring them in. So we're still in the streets of the city. And if you come here maybe a month after the races, you would never know that this has held a world-class motorsports event. And the good thing is that we were even able to put together a world championship round for the FIA for 6 years using the horse track that's next door. So we connected the city streets with the horse track. We had a half dirt, half asphalt rally cross layout, and we had Johan Christopherson, Petter Solberg, Ken Block, Travis Pastrana, Scott Speed. All these guys came in and raced for the championship here. So it's just a matter of taking what you got and making sure you put it in the better light. Motorsports are in a challenging times right now because people are talking about climate change, environment, and we are part of this. We want to be part of the solution as much as we were part of the safety aspects that weren't that popular, if you will, in the 60s and 70s. We came about, and now, like I said, we went from hay bales to grade 3 in the FIA. Right now, we're going to have our the Chevrolet Urban Challenge, which will run dirt sportsman modified cars with 602 engines that were created by Ed Cole, I think the gentleman's name was, in the 60s. It's a V8 350, 5.7 liter carbureted engine, and we're going to race it with a synthetic carbon neutral fuel that has the same footprint as electricity, basically, because it comes from agricultural byproducts as well as synthetic gasoline that's synthesized with green hydrogen, which comes from electricity, and CO2 that gets captured out of the atmosphere. It's the same gasoline that they use in the World Rally Championship, and we're going to use it with the mud buses. So we're showing that things could be done. We can be part of the solution, and motorsports is a controlled environment where technologies can be put to test and shown that they have their value in other aspects of life. That gasoline costs us upwards of $10 a liter. And it's like a 102 octane. It's a fairly good gasoline, but it's much more expensive than if we had the petroleum-based equivalent. But we can show that there's a way to do things differently, and that we can act as a test facility. We had this fuel run on a dyno. That went well. We had this fuel run into one car. Alex Lajoie, thank him very much. He's part of the driver program at Autodrome Granby. He ran that fuel, and he had engine problems the last race. I didn't sleep after he had engine problems last Saturday because I was like, we bought $90,000 worth of mumbo jumbo fuel, and we might not even be able to run it, because if Alex's car, when we do the tear down, it shows that the fuel had an impact. It would strike the whole program, and none of the races wanted to go along with it. But thank God it was a distributor program. That's why the engine ran hot and he didn't blew up, but he had engine problems. So right now we're going to run that fuel, and we're going to try to be part of the carbon neutral future and show that internal combustion engines can be part of the solution. You don't have to put them on a scrapyard, because that's not too eco-friendly either. You can use ICE engines in an environmental, respectful way, and show that these cars that are everywhere in the world can be used in a way that's not going to have as much of an impact on climate change. So that's one of the things we're trying to prove. So we're going from, like I said, the 60s and the hay bales to right now, and the fuel that's made out of hay leftovers. So.
Right. That's, evolution. Yeah. Getting with the times. And that's what racing started out as too, right, Dominic? As a proving ground.
Exactly. What they did on the beach in Daytona was, and as the old adage goes, the first car race was put together when the second car was built.
Yes,
that's how it went. And like I said, it's a controlled environment. It's a proving ground. It can be a proving ground for performance. It can be a proving ground for safety, and it can be a proving ground for other types of technologies. And the fact that it's controlled, that we know who runs what. We're gonna have it helps us tremendously. And also, our event as a can also be used as a microcosm. For instance, we want to we had some I don't have them here. They're called butterfly cups. They're cardboard cups that don't have plastic liner in them, and you don't need a cover on them. You fold them, and you can recycle them with regular paper recycling.
Nice.
So we want to serve beer in that. We want to serve wine in that, and we want to show that our event can be eco-friendly. We get a bad rap. We need to work harder than most people. Well, let's just do it and just show that we can be part of the solution on the automotive side, on the performance side, but also on the event side. Other events, we want to deplastify our site. Some of the concessionaires are not happy with it. They say, can we use compostable plastics? No, because compostable plastics take 60 years to degrade anyway. And the turtles and whatnot, and so let's go with biomass, wooden utensils, reusable. In our suites, we use reusable bento boxes that we had custom made for us. So sorry, the whole team is working here. We're just trading keys, but yeah. So that's the ecological part of it. Like I said, in the automotive aspects, on the event aspects, and we just want to be part of the community, and we need to make our community better by entertaining a lot of people, and we need to make our community better as on the environmental side of things. But it's now part of our fabric with our green P3R program. And this being said, we've always been known for exciting races, for a challenging track. We like to say that this is the place where drivers from Quebec would test their mettle against the best from abroad and be seen and recognized. This what happened with Gilles Villeneuve when he beat, everybody says he beat James Hunt. That's true. He also beat Alan Jones that year. So he beat two world champions in 1976. His son in 1992 did his first North American race. He raced here before going to Atlantics and then winning the Champ Car, CART was called back then, Championship in Indy 500, and then going on to Formula One. Well, I started here. So we're bringing him here this year.
Yes.
Racing in the NASCAR Pinty series for the Dumoulin brothers. Speaking of the Dumoulins, LP's the defending series champion. His brother finished here the last three races, 4th, 3rd, and 2nd. Guess where he's trying to go? He's got only one spot he can go to. So JF's going to be, and this is the only race he's doing. You got Kevin Lacroix, who showed in Toronto that he's, second to none on road courses. Obviously, Alex Taglin is a force to be reckoned with. Andrew Ranger, up until a few years ago, had a average finish of 2 here after 8
Yep.
I mean, average finish of 2 at one track, So so Andrew's going to be here. JP Bergeron, who looked great in ARCA, is going to be here. Marc-Antoine Cameron, his new team, home based here in the region. Kid has won kid, he's my age, but he won 14 times here, but never won in Pinty. So we want him, to do good here. Paillet as a sponsor, GM Paillet, number 1 dealer in Canada, is showing they're gonna have upwards of 300 VIP guests here.
Wow,
this is crazy. This is more than any other. I mean, we had Monster Energy here, and they never had that many clients. Paillet, he's a local dealer. And Monster brought in people from across the country. Paillet has got people but it's mostly people in the region here. All their employees here, not 1 or 2, all of them. So I mean, kudos to JC Paillet, who's one of the leading sponsors in the sport. He's showing the way to other guys. So we like to think that this is a pretty cool event. Can't wait to have you guys and have you experiment it. I mean, we have our Solidarity with Ukraine cocktail that we're going to hold on Saturday night. We're going to have the fireworks display being shot from middle of St. Lawrence River. We've been doing this for 30 years. It's a thank you to all the people. I mean, I even talked to Daytona, and my, little pinky's telling me that pretty higher ups are coming in from NASCAR, and we're trying to hold NASCAR air here long enough so that they can see the fireworks and see what we're all about.
Nice.
Well, I'm curious. I've got to ask. Sorry, Graydon. I'm curious, Dominic. We love the NASCAR Pinty series to a T. It's the series that we follow, the one that we cover for this podcast. A good question that a lot of people are asking about is obviously the Chicago street race. You guys have shown street racing can be a brilliant show. What is it going to take for the Cup Series to come to GP3R?
I know the answer to this.
Do you? Okay.
There's two things that we need: a bigger paddock and a bigger purse. We need a whole lot more money. Chicago can draw enough people to have the type of purse and also TV money that you can bring. That we did pursue the back then it was the nationwide series when it left Montreal. We did pursue that. We had a great deal with the Quebec government, and obviously nationwide insurance not being involved in Canada has hurt our chances. That race went to Mid-Ohio, which is less than 50 miles from nationwide insurance headquarters. So this is all part of the deal. There's a reason why Canadian Tire Motorsports Park has a Silverado 250. There's a stone throw away from GM factory.
Oshawa. Yeah.
From Oshawa. So these are all things that you need to consider. We think, I was honestly, it hurt me a little to see Chicago, because I know, it's like, we've been doing this for 50 years. I think we've been doing it pretty well. And we did run cars that are more powerful and more performant, to have more performance in the Cup Series. When we ran the Trans Am Series, when we ran the LMS, the LMS here, we had the LMP1, LMP 900s that were called back then. The cars would develop 900 horsepower with ground effects. You're going to tell me this is a street race. Ground effects won't do much for you, but still, we have these cars that so we know our track could be prepared to welcome that type of a show. But the powers that be, and obviously the size of the market is kind of hard. We like to think of us as maybe we're a little bit like Green Bay's in the NFL, but to be in the upper echelons in the National Series, it would take a little more than Green Bay can hope for that and can keep that going because they were one of the founding teams. It's not the case with us. Monaco should not hold a Formula One race, would not hold a Formula One race if it hadn't been there for the better part of 100 years. So, these are all things that you need to consider. So, like I said, more money and also more paddock space.
Well, we're cool with it still being the NASCAR Pinty Series. The highlights. I absolutely love this track. Graydon, what do we have to ask Mr. Dominic?
This race has been a bucket list for my sons and I, especially for a long time. And for me personally,
tell them to bring their bathing suits. We got a pool on site for everyone.
Okay, deal. They do like them some swimming. We've wanted to do this for a long time, as I say, and to see an entire city basically turned into a race venue, which I got to tell you, I've made a page of notes and I don't think I've said 10 words because you've answered every question basically that I like to say. Just going on, your job so well, Dominic.
I couldn't drive a nail to save my life. Bullshitting. That will pay the.
I say, have you done a press conference or two, maybe? But just. As you said, it's in the fiber of the city, and as you said, with all these environmental initiatives, like when everybody goes home, as you said, you have to turn this back into your city and the environmental impact. Everybody, it looks like a giant party left town, and being able to reduce the environmental impact is such a great initiative, and showing the leadership that racing can be positive thing for the environment. And as you say, with all these other like fuel technologies and the ever-changing oil technologies that go into the engines, it's great to see you guys are out in front of this.
Mobility is not going to go away. People are not just going to hunker down in their houses and stop traveling or moving or driving or going places. It's the nature of the human beast. We like to move around. That's how the whole planet was conquered. The Europeans didn't, we're proof that the Europeans didn't stay in Europe. And when you look at the refugee flow around the world, it shows that, like I said, human beings are meant to travel around, and they're going to keep doing so. So we need to find a way to to lessen the impact of that, and we think we can be part of that benchmark yeah, it's basically benchmarking that we're doing it.
It's something that
showing that it can be used. Yeah, go ahead.
Something that that Cam and I have noticed, especially going to as many races as we do, particularly in the Pinty series and at these speed festivals like at CTMP, and then like where we're going with Trois Rivières, you always see many different walks of life at racing. But as you said, everybody's on the move, and we're seeing so many different ethnic diversity and these things at the races, and that's definitely what we want to see. We want to see and engage all different kinds of people from all over in these types of things.
Yeah, and you know, like for instance, here our Friday is free, and we have one of our marquee races, the night race, which this year is going to feature the SCCC FEL series. We're going to have Mercedes AMGs GT3s.
Yes.
We're going to have Audi's RS3 LMS in the TCR.
Oh, they sound
series.
so good.
We're going to have Jocelyn Heber, who's won, I think, 10 times here.
Yep.
He just bought, I'm not going to call it brand new because it did contest in the 2019 World TCR Championship, that car. But he bought that car from the Jazz team in Italy. That's a Honda Civic Type R. You know, the car's worth upwards of $200,000 Canadian.
Crazy.
You know, for a Honda,
yeah. Yeah, exactly.
But Acura, maybe. You know, for a Honda, it's like,
yeah, it's still wearing the Honda
but these cars are going to be running here between the streets at night. You know, the race starts at dusk and finishes while it's completely dark, you know, with the headlights on. So it has a little bit of the endurance feel, but we did try endurance racing in the past. You know, I told you about the LMS. We also had what was called the Grand M series, but it doesn't have that atmosphere. The city in atmosphere is good for sprint racing. And that's why, you know, Pinty series, great fit. You know, the Urban Challenge. I heard you talk before we went on the air about the modified Legends. These are going to be great. You know, they're open wheel little cars.
Yeah.
They were our sleeper hit, the dark horse last year. We put them as a demo, 20 minutes in the morning, Sunday, 20 minutes after the Pinty series. And the show was spectacular. Brought him in as a full-fledged series. Going to be upwards of 20 cars. With Jacques Villeneuve, Gilles' brother, is going to be running in that. So he's going to. We like to call it his career's honor lap, like a victory lap. So it's not necessarily your last lap, but it's the last lap you're going to do that day. So we're taking him on. He hasn't raced here since 2015. I want to say 2014 or 15. I was here, but it was the beginning. Anyway, and so he's going to be running. His wife didn't want him running, and she said, you know, it's like a Skidoo engine, but it has a roof and has a cage, so that's good. Let him go. So, but these little cars, I mean, they give. I was worried because it's still a 1.5 mile track, you know. But they gave a great show, and they're planning to do it again. Like I said, the FCCC, the Nissan used to be Micra, now Sentra series has been with us since its inception. And these little cars are perfect because they can go 2 and 3 wide between the walls. And you know, like Pinty's cars, 3 wide here is not only a stretch
tough on the paint.
It's heresy. But I got a funny story about tough on the paint, but let me later. But yes, so the Center Cup's going to be good. Super Production Challenge. You know, these guys, they're hardcore grassroots racers, but with great cars that we see on the streets every day, and that are fun to see on the track. And they engage with, for instance, with the Ronald McDonald House. They bring kids. We have them do pace car laps. You know, we used to do a lot of pace car laps. Now it's exclusively reserved for the Ronald McDonald House kids.
Oh, that's awesome.
Sick kids. You know, you want to do a pace car lap? Fine. Go be sick, you know, in the kids' hospital. But yeah, so and the 1600s that I've been running here for 45 years now. So
cool.
You know, it's we have a little bit of everything, and you don't have to stay in your seat the whole time. You know what you like, and you watch what you like, and you can go, like I said, use the pool, go to Midway, go to the concession, have a few cold Coors Light, just walk about, have fun, and then you come back for the sessions of the races you like. But we have sports cars, we have stock cars, and we have open wheels. So we think it's a fairly balanced menu, and everyone can find what they like.
Oh man, we're never going to go home, are we, Graydon?
We'll
I know I am.
clean
You
up.
can stay if you want, but
Yeah, we'll help clean up.
after 3 days, and then our off-road weekend, right? The next weekend with rallycross and supermoto and autocross, and we're having a few guys from Ontario, so that should be fairly cool as well. It's more. I call it the redneck weekend. So.
That's us.
Yeah.
Takes one to know one.
Dominic, I've been out of high school for 25 years, so I'm going to do my best here I have such a respect for your beautiful language. Nous vous remercions pour votre temps lorsque vous êtes si occupé avec le GP3R. Alors, merci beaucoup et bienvenue à SNS. Nous vous hâtez à venir ce week-end à la ville de Trois-Rivières et c'est un grand événement pour les motorsports au Canada et Trois-Rivières.
Merci beaucoup, mon ami. Merci de l'effort. L'effort me touche vraiment le cœur.
Yeah, he did. Guy couldn't do that.
It's extremely resting. As I said, I didn't want to pour it on too hard and disrespect the language, but it's something my kids are learning.
It was perfect. If more people just took those little steps, and like my mom was an English teacher in my hometown. I come from a town of 800 people, and back then people didn't have GPSs to know where the gas stations were, so they would stop on the highway and then start speaking like, "Go, big house, white house." They send us to our house, and then we'd show them directions. But just that little level of openness is seriously, it means means the world to us, means the world to me, and we're very happy to welcome you. And we'll try our best to welcome you in English. But if you just say bonjour and merci, that should open doors wide open for you when you're here. So please come and see us, come and enjoy the town and enjoy the party, and most of all, enjoy the racing.
Well, we're going to do that. Absolutely, Dominic. Thank you so much for coming on to chat with us. We are obviously going to be there for a little bit, so we've got to ask locally, where is the place to go get something delicious to eat that is local and that we should be bragging to everybody else that they have to come and get when they go to Trois-Rivières?
Well, there's a lot of places that
I've heard.
But have you guys heard of this dish called poutine?
Yeah. I don't know, Graydon. It sounds kind of familiar.
Yeah,
Okay.
the Bun Sons put a fair bit away.
You know why it sounds familiar is that somebody invented it.
Mm-hmm.
The restaurant that invented poutine is in Drummondville, 45 minutes away from here, and they will have a food truck on site. So if you want to eat poutine's ground zero of poutine, just go to the Chevrolet Urban Village. That's in the paddock where the modifieds are going to be staged at, and you'll be able to taste it. That's my good friend Laurent Proux, who's a huge race fan. He's the one who's sponsoring Jacques Villeneuve, Gilles' brother. And Larry makes a mean poutine. I can tell you that much.
Nice.
Oh man,
my God.
That's exactly what we wanted to hear. Dominic,
I got the Pepsi packed.
Yeah, that's true. I've got the Gaviscon pack. There we go. Dominic Fugère, thank you so much for joining us on the Stickers and Scuffs podcast. We are so honored to be able to go and be at GP3R for the very first time and get some content for the podcast. We'll be out there recording with the Bun Sons, and we'll be there for all 3 days. So we're really excited, and we can't wait to see you there, my friend.
Absolutely. Can't wait to welcome you. Bienvenue. Venez nous voir et bonne semaine de course. Happy race week.
I love
Absolutely.
it. I love it. Thank you.
Cheers, guys. Thank you.
Thank you. All righty.
Merci.